All right, welcome back to the show. Today, I want to talk about basically why entrepreneurs are basically have a job. They don't own a business. They think they own a business, but they actually have a job. And a lot of my topics that I like to talk about stem from conversations that I have with friends of mine, people that reach out. And once we start digging into, and it's not that I'm here coaching anybody, but I love helping people out and love talking about this stuff. And I think my experiences through jobs that I've had in the past and self-storage is kind of, it's easy to create systems and actually own a business in self-storage. So I think being able to simplify a lot of these things that I'm going to talk about in self-storage has helped me kind of make things crystal clear on how to run a business, and obviously learn from others too. And that's how I've learned how to run self-storage. But let's kind of get into it here. Most entrepreneurs that I see, they have a job, right? They're not working on their business, they're working in their business. And probably hear that a lot, that saying. Let's talk about what that looks like. So let's say you're a flipper. You own a flipping business. Which means you're buying undervalued houses, you're fixing them up and then selling them, right? If you own that, well, if you're in that business, you're probably maybe finding the deal, finding the funding. You're probably doing some or maybe all of the rehab. You're doing bookkeeping. What else is there? The closings. You're probably involved with that. All the day-to-day operational stuff, right? If you're working on the business as a flipper, you're probably, you're delegating all those jobs out because those are all jobs, right? And you're thinking bigger picture. You're thinking, okay, how many flips do we need this month? How many flips do we need this year? How many do we need next 3 to 5 years? What does that look like? What does staff look like? How many people do you need? What type of staff? More so planning and working on the business. So that's the gist of when people say working in it compared to working on it. And I wanted to kind of go over that because I don't think a lot of people understand that. They hear the phrase and they shake their head. Yeah. I'm not working in the business. I'm working on it. Well, meanwhile, they're doing their books, right? Or they're still actively hunting for deals. So I think clarifying that helps a little bit too, and you've got to look at yourself, right? And for myself, I still work in the business with certain things. Right now, I'm still deal finding. Now we are working on offloading that. We're also working on, what else do I do? That's kind of day to day. Once we find a deal, basically anything from start of a deal to the end of the deal, I'm doing everything. I am trying to offload that. We'll see how that goes. As far as operations in self-storage, I've pretty much delegated everything and able to focus on bigger picture of operations, which has been absolutely awesome. I believe it's running way smoother and we have room for improvement too, but I believe it's running way smoother than it ever did when I was in operations. So I want to kind of go into, and I'm going to give you the best way to kind of get yourself to first realize, oh, I'm working in the business. I'm going to give you that tool here towards the end of the show, but I want to talk about more items that kind of keep all of us in the day-to-day, and it's hard to get out of the operations, out of the working in the business. To me, it starts with probably emails, right? And I'm guilty of it. And when I say I just offloaded most of my things operational wise, I'm still taking care of my own emails. I don't get a ton of emails. We'll call it maybe 50 a day. I would say probably, who knows, 48 of those I don't have to answer. Maybe 2 of them I have to. And a lot of it's just communication with vendors sometimes. I'll get emails from my district manager or my assistant or somebody where I need to hop in on things. But for the most part, it's been filtered before it gets to me when it's those type of emails. I do get emails with leads funding, lending, all those type of things. So I do get some emails, but not a ton. It's not to the point where I think I need to offload it. But there are a lot of people, and I'm thinking back my last job, I should have probably had an assistant at my last job. I was answering too many just follow-up emails from customers, and I was in sales. So it was just more work for me, taking me out of what created, I guess, revenue for the business, which was me selling. Took me out of that, and I was answering emails, and that's basically all I did for a while, was just answer emails, putting out fires. And that's kind of the next phase. It's putting out fires, right? A lot of times emails are a to-do list, but they're also a lot of fires that pop up. And now you got to answer them, you got to deal with them, you got to look it up, what the problem is, whatever's going on with that email, you've got to dig into it, and that takes time. I know for myself, I right now I've got one email in my inbox. Now when I get off this show, well, I have more probably. I'll probably have 3 to 5, but I like to keep my email inbox clean because it is kind of a to-do list. And the more I keep it clean and get less emails, the more I can focus on the overall picture of our business. And then I also think the other main factor, so it's email / putting out fires. And then the other thing that goes into that is people think that they can do everything better than everybody else. So we'll go back to a flipper, right? And I've got a buddy, I keep saying flipper because I've got a buddy that is a flipper. He's kind of going through this, and he's made tremendous strides in the past year, couple of years, but he still has a ways to go, and he knows that. But his biggest problem right now is what he thinks are contractors. He doesn't think he can find another contractor that is as good as him, or maybe somebody or a couple people on his crew. Now, a lot of that probably goes into a couple things. One, it's an excuse, right? We all use it. 2, you may have to pay a little bit more, right? Because more than likely the pool that you're fishing in, or the pond you're fishing in, to find these contractors are probably, you're trying to find the cheapest contractor so that you come under bid, under quote that you quoted for that flip, right? So you're looking at cheap labor. So what do you expect you're going to get? You're going to get bad contractors. And then you're like, well, he screwed it up. I'm just going to go in here and finish this myself, right? He screwed up the plumbing. I'm just going to go in here and finish it myself. Guess what? That's a constant wheel. You're always going to be in that. You're always going to be in it until you find better help, a legit contractor. And yeah, they're going to be a little bit more expensive. And yeah, your margins as a flip, we're talking about a flipper here. Your margins are going to be a little bit smaller. But you've got to do that, or you've got to grow your own A players, your own A team, to where they can take over. They can do those things in-house. And then you've got to have a supervisor, right? So even if you can get out of that as a flipper, you still need someone to manage the jobs. Otherwise, you're still in the day-to-day, right? Now, you can manage the managers, right? And that way you're talking more bigger picture. All right, manager, here we've got 4 flips right now for this month. Our quota is to get 6. How do we get there? Where are we at in timeline? Those type of things, planning. That's what you should be doing as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. Now, when I say should be, there are definitely some people that enjoy working in their business. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but if you're working 12, 14, 18 hours a day and you're wondering why, or you're constantly frustrated because you have bad contractors, jobs aren't getting done correctly, there's a reason why. Okay, so you got to figure those things out. But to get to, I guess, the meat of this, how to fix all this, and I did this back probably about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago at a mastermind. I think I've probably talked about it before, but this, and I didn't take it serious the first time I did it. I thought, my team has always been lean, and I've always used some type of third party somewhere, usually with the call center. But once I did this exercise, this tool, it really opened my eyes into what I was actually doing. And I was still working in the business. And even now I do have pieces that I work in the business, but I'm completely aware of what those are. And I know also my path to get out of those if I want to get out of them. And that tool that I'm talking about is an org chart, organizational chart. So what that is basically it's a chart to where we'll use myself as an example in self-storage. I'm the business owner. Call me CEO, whatever you want to call me. And then you write down everything that I'm doing, all the tasks that I'm doing. And if you've got, and I'll go back to 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was. My responsibilities were I had bookkeeping. What else? Processing checks, marketing for sales or for our sales and storage, marketing for leads as well. So finding leads, deals. There are a few other things operational that I was doing. I was probably answering emails quite a bit. I was still involved a lot with the day-to-day. And I didn't really realize it until I probably did that exercise 2 or 3 times or thought about it at least and dug a little bit deeper. I'm like, you know what? As much as I thought I was out of the day-to-day, I'm truly not. But the rest of my org chart looked like underneath myself, and I use vendors. So there's a call center. Obviously, they're handling all phone calls, renting units, following up on leads, collections, auctions, those type of things. So that's underneath me, and they were directly underneath me because they were basically reporting to me. Next to them were, I may have had at the time a part-time kind of manager. They would basically kind of babysit the call center, but I was still involved. They were answering emails, answering text messages that came in. So day-to-day stuff, took some stuff off my plate, but definitely could have taken more, and that's what we're kind of at now. So underneath me, I had the call center. I had basically a manager. I had attorney. I had CPA. And our maintenance. So at the time, I think we had 8 or 9 maintenance guys, boots on the ground for each location. So, and they reported directly to me. So once I started realizing all these people are reporting to me, I realized that was quite a bit. And I was working in my business, still doing operational things and having everyone report to me. Now that's kind of changed it's changed a lot since I've done the org chart. My responsibilities have reduced a ton. I'm not in the day-to-day operations whatsoever. I'm able to look at the big picture. My district manager now who's doing an awesome job. She reports to me. For the most part, she's really the only one that reports to me when it comes directly to our business. Now I've got an assistant who she does report to me for some things, but when it comes to storage operations, so she reports to our district manager. We now have one maintenance guy, which I've talked about. He reports to our district manager. Our call center reports to the district manager. And I still do my best, and I probably need to do a little bit better job, but I still do my best to connect with all those people too. And I still have CPA, attorney, and I know before I was doing bookkeeping. I've switched that. I've got a third-party bookkeeper. So now the bookkeeper does report to me, bypasses the district manager, but they're about the only, the attorney, they're about the 2 main ones that report directly to me for things. Now, there are ways for me to get out of that, but I'm not ready for that. That's still something I take on myself. So that's kind of what mine looks like. But step number 1 is doing an org chart and being honest with yourself. I don't think enough people do it. And it doesn't matter what size business you have. I thought at the time it was kind of a joke because I had basically, I had a bunch of boots on the ground, but we'll call those one employee because they're a bunch of part-time people. And then I had one kind of manager. So technically I had like 2 people. But everyone was reporting to me. I was still in the day-to-day. So if there's a gate that was broken, I would have to jump on it, take care of it. Our vendors report to our district manager. Contractors, they all report to her. So a lot of those things we don't really realize that we're taking care of, that we're still in the day-to-day until we do an org chart and document everything that we're doing and document what everybody under you or beside you are doing as well. And I think it's not just a one-time thing. And as I'm thinking about it, I should probably do it again and kind of clean things up and figure out where the holes are, where the leaks are, where I need to do better myself, where I need to do a better job of delegating. And it also makes you think kind of big picture. Maybe some people are absolute rock stars on your team and you want to promote them. And maybe they can, we've been trying to work on, and I think we found a solution, but I've always wanted kind of a backup for my district manager. Not that we're getting rid of her or anything, but she wants to take vacation. She wants to unplug. I'm sure there's days of the week she'd love to unplug and not have to answer any fires that are going on. So that helps in, just doing the org chart, who knows, once, twice, 3 times a year, helps you kind of find those holes. It's just good exercise. So biggest takeaway here, do an org chart. Doesn't matter how big your business is. You've got 1 employee, you've got 50, you've got 500, doesn't matter. I think doing an org chart is very valuable and can get you out of the day-to-day to where you're not in your business as a job or jobs. You're truly working on your business, working on where it's going, and hopefully, growing your company, gaining you more free time, and also giving employees of yours, vendors of yours, whoever you've got, giving them empowerment, and maybe paying them a little bit more too. So you're also you're helping people around you as well in all ways. So that's all I've got today. Appreciate you for tuning in. If you made it this far, appreciate you making this far and hanging on. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for following, subscribing, and listening to this episode of the Do More podcast hosted by John Farling. To learn more or ask questions, go to l4investing.com.